You also did the high precision touch screen, right? You talked about that that was the lift-off one,
keyboard,
correct?
right, the lift-off. We actually pushed that high precision idea all the way to the point of selecting a single pixel on the screen.
Really? Wow.
Which was, you know, a bit of a trick and a little bit of a game. That wasn't really necessary, but we showed that it could be done.
Okay.
So the touch screens, we saw uses for home control devices, for mobile devices, a variety of things. And even the slide to open, that was our work here.
Really? Wow.
The slide to open was the work of my dear colleague, Catherine Plaisant, who's collaborator for 30 years here from 1987 onwards. And we've written more than 100 papers together. But she did the lead on the work of this slide to open. And that was a key issue in the case 2 years ago of Apple versus Samsung, and Catherine's testimony in that case solidified, clarified that it was her work that made that idea happen.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot to be proud of here at Maryland, and we were pioneers. Part of that is that in 1983, I founded the Human-Computer Interaction Lab here at Maryland. I'm very grateful to my dear colleague, Azriel Rosenfeld, a superstar professor, who early on appreciated the importance of studying human performance and the idea of human-computer interaction. And he was forming the Center for Automation Research to house his research on computer vision. He also had a robotics lab, and he invited me to start this human-computer interaction lab, which just celebrated its 35th anniversary. We're now on the 8th director, Nicholas Elmquist, and it's been one of those really nice stories. We were one of the largest and earliest of such labs in the world. We continue to have strong recognition for what we've done over these years.
What are some of the major accomplishments that have come out of the HCI lab and HCI as a field?
Whoa, there's a whole lot. I would say, there's a lot to take credit for. The larger field, which has grown and all around the world, can take credit for the fact that, about 6 billion people have something like this in their pockets, and they can use it for getting information, being in touch, medical care, business, and so on. And it was a movement that was really devoted to the user and making technology accessible to all. And so the idea that you had a device and you could operate it was, even if you were disabled, even if you were blind, even if your language skills were low, we worked hard, and all the people in this community, to make sure that universal usability was a possibility. And by making technology designed for many people, I believe, and I think the evidence is pretty good, you raise the quality of that for everyone. So that devotion to universality helped raise quality. And that's a really satisfying and powerful impact. We had many smaller parts of that along the way. The direct manipulation principle played out in our design of photo libraries and photo browsers, and the idea of tagging a photo. We had a list of the names of people in your family or colleagues, and you drag the name onto the photo, and it clicks in place. So
was it the photo finder?
That was the photo finder, right? The photo finder project was the source of that, and I had a patent for the idea of photo tagging. And of course, that's become widely influential. The university owned that patent and did sell it. So we have, again, more evidence and clarity about the contributions we made. Other things that were getting into the 90s where we shifted more and more toward visualizing information. And the tree maps were one idea for that. So we had a lab with 14 students sharing a Mac computer with 80 megabytes hard drive. And as you can imagine, it filled up pretty often. And there I was trying to figure out, who should I bother to clean their files up? Who was using the most space? And that wasn't so easy to find out when you have 14 different users signing on. And so I was looking for a way that showed the whole hard drive in a single screen, not this long scrolling list with hierarchies of folders and many windows and so on, but a single screen that with no scrolling, where the areas were proportional to the size of the folders, so that I could look in one screen and see the 14 folders, see their size, and know how to clean up. And I worked on that for a long time. And one day in the faculty lab, having some coffee, I had this aha moment. And I thought I figured out how to do it. It took me 3 days to convince myself that it really would work under all circumstances. And that was the idea that I called tree maps, because it was a map, like a 2D map of the tree structure of the hard drive.
Okay.
So the tree maps have gone on to be widely used as well for lots of information processing. A lot of journalism, uses tree maps to show economic data and health data, stock market data. Some of the most widespread uses are for financial and stock market data. So it's pretty cool to see the entire stock market, or 500 stocks of the Standard & Poor's 500 and see all at once. Each of the 500 is size-coded by the market capitalization. So Apple is the biggest one, and of course Google, Facebook, Microsoft are big. The color coding is by whether it's gone up or down. So usually people do green if it's going up and red if it's going down. And in one glance, you can see how things are going. And the interesting thing is you can see if most of the screen is green, but there's one red blotch, that's interesting. Or mostly red and one green blotch. And those things do happen. So it's a very revealing way that I see as a natural outgrowth of direct manipulation. Because the whole screen was visible. You click on that for more information, or you zoom in on that area.